We are here to help.
When letter variables are introduced in algebra, we stop using the multiplication sign and instead use brackets, dots, or simply write the numbers side by side. Sometimes these notations can be confused with function notation. Let's look at a few examples where this is most often confused. Function notation. Function notation is used to write and name functions without having to write down a lengthy equation. It is sometimes confused for multiplication due to the brackets. The notation is made up of the name of the function and the argument. We read this as f of x. It is telling us that the function's name is f, and it is in terms of the independent variable x. The x represents the input of the function. When we input a value for x, the function gives us an output, which is the corresponding y value. More specifically, f of x equals y. We write f of x instead when our relation is a function. Consider the example f of x equals 3x plus 2. The name of the function is f, and it's in terms of the independent variable x. Suppose we wanted to consider the function g of x equals x squared minus 5x as well. By using function notation, we can easily distinguish the two functions by their names, f and g, without having to write their full equations. Evaluating a function versus multiplication. When evaluating a function at a particular input, we use function notation to show which input we wish to evaluate. Consider the function g of x we were using before. Suppose we want to evaluate the function at the value x equals 3. To denote this, we write 3 in the place of x in the argument. This does not mean g times 3, as if g is a variable. Instead, this is telling us to substitute the value of 3 in for x like so, and solve to obtain the corresponding y value. Now we can simply write g of 3 equals negative 6, which tells us that there is a point on g's graph at 3 and negative 6. Logarithmic functions versus multiplication. Like function notation, multiplication is confused with logarithmic functions since they use a similar notation. Consider the basic logarithmic function log of x. There are two ways that this function can be presented, with or without brackets. Both versions mean the same thing. However, this does not mean we are multiplying log by x. Like function notation, the x is the argument of the logarithmic function. Logarithmic functions take on x values as input and output y values. If we substitute a value in for x in the argument, we are evaluating the function at the value of x indicated. For example, consider log of 1. This means that we are evaluating the function at x equals 1. This can be done by simply inputting it into your calculator. Log of 1 is equal to 0. Which tells us that there is a point on the graph at 1 and 0. Some examples of other logarithmic functions are ln of x and logarithmic functions with different bases, such as log of x base 2. Trigonometric functions versus multiplication. Trigonometric functions are also commonly confused with multiplication. Consider the three common trigonometric functions, sin x, cos x, and tan x. Like logarithmic functions, these can all be expressed with or without brackets around the argument. However, they do not mean that sine, cos, and tan are being multiplied by x. Like all other functions, trig functions can take on x values as input and output y values. Suppose we were given cos of x and asked to find cos of 0. This is asking us to evaluate cos at the value x equals 0. If we enter this into our calculator, we get that cos of 0 is equal to 1, which means that the point 0, 1 lies on the graph of cos of x. Now, how do we tell the difference between function notation and multiplication? Watch for the language used in the problem. If you see the words function, relation, or graph, you are most likely going to encounter function notation. The equation of the function will most likely be given to you as well. When numbers and variables are multiplied together, the number is usually written in front of the variable. The number is specifically called the coefficient. If this is not the case, then the math problem you are working on will most likely specify that you are solving or simplifying an equation.